And if you want to join me on a one-on-one Zoom call where I teach you SwiftUI or I debug your code, go and check out rebeloper.com. And today we are going to talk about the breathing text. So we are going to do this in two steps. First of all, I'm just going to type it out on an actual text, and then we are going to create a view modifier for it so you can reuse it over and over again inside your projects. Okay, so yeah, this is the boring hello world text and with the image of globe. We want a little bit more exciting. So let's just remove everything from the body over here. And first of all, we need some sort of an animation. And, it's just going to expand and then contract. It's kind of, that's how it's going to breathe. We need a state for that. So at state private var, private, there we go, animate equals false by default. Okay, animate. Now, right over here, I'm just going to add a text of, I don't know, new feature. There we go. Let's make it a little bit larger. So font, let's just go with title and bold. Let's see that. Yeah, pretty nice. And then let's do some effects. The first one, obviously, would be the scale effect. Scale effect, if it's animated, so if animate, we're going to use a ternary operator, the question mark with the colons. If animate is true, 1.0.5, just a subtle jump in scale. If not, let's just go back to its original scale. We're going to do the same with an opacity. It's just going to do so much better with these tiny changes. So let's just go with the opacity again. Animate question mark 0.8. Otherwise 1.0. Okay, so it's just going to have a little bit of opacity when it's scaled. Now, let's do the actual trigger on the animation, right? So what we want to do is just trigger this on appear, so on appear, and we are going to do this with animation. We are going to trigger the on state true and false on a repeated way. You're just going to see that in just a second, but we don't want this to be jumping. We want to use with animation. There we go. And right over here, we need to add in the animate toggle inside the animation, but we need to add in some properties. And we are going to do this with a dot on, ease out is, let's just go ease in and out with a duration of 1.5 seconds. That's what I found to be really satisfying. And then add another dot and repeat forever, and auto reverses set to true. There we go. Let's just have that to true. Okay, now if you pay attention, it's really, really subtle right over here. I'm going to leave the mouse over here so you can see it as a reference. This text now kind of breathes, right? You can't really see the opacity, but if it were on an image or another color background, you will see kind of the difference. And the reason is, you don't have to see it. It has to be subtle. Okay, so that is the animation, the breathing animation that I would like to add onto any of my views, not just the text, I am going to create an actual view modifier for it. So let's just scroll a little bit down and let's have a view modifier. Let's just call it breathing modifier. Breathing modifier, there we go. We can remove the preview, we don't need that. And now let's just add in some properties that you might want to change, because I set these into stone, these are constant values, but let's just have the option to, well, first of all, you do need these default values, but the option to change them if you want to. So let's just have a scale of CG float. You have to set it out, type it out of type CG float, otherwise it would be a double, inferred as a double. So let's just have 0.5, and on the scale effect you do need CG float. Then we need opacity. There we go. This would be a double. 0.8, yes, if I remember that correctly. And then the duration, and that will be again a double and 1.5. Okay, we still need the state variable of animate. I'm going to copy some stuff right now so we can reuse them. And then we want all of this. So scale effect, not the font, scale effect all over this. And then on the content, we want to replace that default stuff. And now, instead of 1.0, we are just going to use scale. And then 0.8, that is the opacity. And right over here is the duration. Pretty straightforward, I believe so. Okay, and also the animate on toggle is right over there. Next up, we want to create an actual extension on the view so we can use it easily on as a view modifier. So let's just go and have an extension on the view, and I'm just going to create a function called breathing. There we go, breathing, and we are going to have some modifiers right over here. So scale, CG float, and let's set the default to 1.0.5. Then next up would be the opacity. There we go. Again, of type double. Default value 0.8, and then the duration. Double, and 1.5. Okay, so that's our function. It needs to return some view. I forgot about that, but there we go. We're just adding it right now. It returns some type of view. Okay, and what we're going to do is just go self dot and then modifier, this one, and then the breathing modifier. Breathing modifier with all of the values. We are just passing it down. So scale, then opacity, and then duration. And now all of the warnings should go away. Now, the errors, basically, there were some errors. So let's just see what's going on. Let's refresh this. Yeah, works fine. Okay, so as you can see, it's still working. Now we are going to replace all of this with a VStack, because I want to have two examples right over here. One with the text of, again, a new feature. And let's have a font of .title.bold. There we go. And now we can just add in breathing, just the default one. Now, as you can see, same thing. But let's just take a look at another example with some custom values. So let's just have another text over here with, I don't know, a limited offer. And then let's just add the breathing, and let's use option return so we can set the scale, opacity, and duration. Let's just go with some different values, 0.7, and then the duration a little bit shorter, 1.2. And now, as you can see, the animation, the breathing animation, is a little bit different. Now, go ahead and tweak it to your liking. And most importantly, now you can use this breathing view modifier on any view, not just text, on any view. If you like these types of tutorials and you want to meet me on a one-on-one Zoom call, go ahead and check out rebeloper.com. Hit that button right over there.